Hi, welcome to Jessica. I'm Jessica Rector. Today we're going to talk about underage drinking and drug use, specifically marijuana use. I would like to introduce my 5 guests today. The first one is Kong Tran and Grizel Bernal. Next is Rosalind Isidro, Koa Tran, and Crystal Caravello. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Hi. First of all, we're going to start off a little bit talking about drinking, then we're going to talk about marijuana use, and then we're going to have some just general discussion entailing both of them. So I'd like to get started by just letting everyone know about your experiences with drinking or marijuana use.
Well, it's surprisingly, like, there's a lot of it goes on, underage drinking and smoking pot, a lot more than people think. So, yeah.
I know for me it's very difficult to actually do things with peers and friends without including those two, either nighttime drinking with smoking or daytime use of smoking all day with everyday activities like going to the mall or the beach.
Why is it difficult?
I don't know, maybe because it's always there. It always seems to be like when you're at our age, you're at the time where you don't have any bills, so what else do you spend your money on? So it usually ends up on drugs or alcohol or going like clothes for partying with drugs and alcohol.
Koa?
Well, it's like Kong said, it's really surprising on how many people do it. Like, you and a lot of people you wouldn't even know. I mean, I know a lot of people in my high school, they're going to like Harvard and like they're smoking pot. It's like, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty amazing.
It's becoming casual, just like smoking cigarettes. Like people do it like all day and yeah.
All the time, huh? So, pertaining to drinking, what is the appeal of it?
Getting drunk.
Feeling older, probably.
No inhibitions. Stress-free. When you're drunk, you don't think about like what your peers are thinking about you, and that's, I think, the main focus on people our age. What are you thinking about me right now? When everybody's just drunk, it seems like everybody's carefree and nobody cares about that one thing that usually tends to bring us down.
Rosalind, how do you feel about it?
To me, there's no appeal because I don't like the smell. There's no point of smoking or drinking. To me, it's a waste of time. Instead of like spending time with your friends, like quality time, going to the beach, or something instead of just smoking and drinking. Yeah.
Well, I have to commend you for that because especially when you're so young, there's a lot of pressure, and with, like they say, a lot of people doing it, it's hard to, stick your ground and, say that you're not going to do it when there's so many people around you that do it, and just to throw out some stats to you guys, the age that people first try alcohol is very young, 11 for boys and 13 for girls. And by the time they're in 8th grade, 50% of kids have had a drink, 20% have been drunk, which to me seems like an astounding number. But then you get to 12th grade, 30% drink on 3 or more occasions a month. 30% of 12th graders also do binge drinking, which is 5 drinks on 1 occasion, and then 20% of that 30% do it more than once a month. So do those figures surprise you guys at all?
No. I actually would have thought that those numbers would have been higher, but the age does surprise me because 11 for guys, that's like 6th grade. And I mean, 6th grade, you're not really thinking about much except for, having fun with your friends, and having a drink in the 6th grade would be surprising. But I did know people that drank and even smoked weed in the 6th grade.
So where do you get this in 6th grade, though? If you're 11 years old, or girls, you're 13, where are you getting it?
Surprisingly enough, in your own home.
Yeah,
A lot of families have parties
Like
and
liquor cabinets and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And like, I'm telling you, like, if you have like a big old jug of like Bacardi or something, then like they're not gonna know if you just take like 4 or 5 shots or whatever.
water it down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's not noticeable. I mean, they don't. Your parents don't drink enough to know like at what level it is. They're not gonna mark the bottle or anything like that.
It starts at home, or they
Yeah.
drink more, so they won't even notice if a certain amount is gone or one
Yeah.
beer is gone. You know, oh, okay, I already drank it. They just like
Exactly.
assume that.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of occasions that I know my friends have taken a beer or, you know, a cup of this or that from their parents' own stash. And I've known that to happen a lot of times.
And the parents have never noticed.
No, they do not notice.
And they never really talk to their children about that because they don't really believe that
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't really suspect your 11-year-old kid to
That's true.
take a beer from your, you know, fridge.
Or you would hope they wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's where it starts, at home.
So switching gears a little bit, what's the appeal of pot?
I don't know. Like, you try it once and it just kind of becomes regular after a little while. Like, you smoke once and, I mean, it's big then. You're like, oh, you know, my first time. And, I mean, maybe your first time isn't cut out what you think it is, and then you try it again. And then you like it, and then it just starts to become regular. And then it just kind of happens like that. I mean, there's no really like, oh, I want to go out and smoke some pot when you're young. It just comes up because it's there, and then it's there again, and it's always
It's
there.
there
Yeah.
from whom?
Peers,
Peers,
most of the
definitely.
time, yeah. And it's there again, and then you start buying your own, and then that's how you get into it. I mean, it's you don't go out looking for it your first time. That's for sure.
I definitely think it progresses because you never. I think that's why people think it's not addictive, because the first time you try it, second time you try it, it doesn't usually appeal to you until like maybe the third or fourth. And once you've done it the third or fourth, it's like, well, I've already done it already. You know, I might as well do it a couple more times. A couple more times turns into like a weekly habit to a daily habit to everything, just like a big progression. Next thing you know, you're spending more money on it than you are anything else. And
So are you saying that it is addictive then?
I do agree. I mean, everything is addictive. Anything that raises or lowers your heart rate is addictive, and it definitely does either or.
Everyone else think it's addictive?
I mean,
It's
yeah.
not as addictive as other drugs, but it's almost like cigarettes. Like you can't really stop cigarettes, but I think you can stop smoking pot. Like after a certain, like if you really want to. It's just hard because your peers always have it, and then you know it's just always there.
I think you do it so much because you know you could quit anytime you wanted
Yeah,
to.
Yeah.
exactly. Because you're like, oh, I can stop next week. But then
Yeah.
it comes, and then you're just like, well,
Yeah.
it's around so much
Yeah.
that you don't
But
really
I
want
think,
to.
yeah, but I think you could quit if anyone wanted to. If they did smoke on a regular basis, they could quit.
Well, doesn't everybody think that they can quit anything? I mean, nobody sits there and thinks, no, I'm addicted, I can't quit, there's no way I can quit. You know, everybody thinks, oh, well, I can quit this. You know, all their bad habits. Everybody thinks, you know, if I really wanted to, I can quit. So is it that they can't quit or they really don't want to quit?
It's that they don't want to,
Yeah.
mostly. But sometimes it's really hard. Like, there's things that are more difficult to quit. I think alcoholism is a lot worse. You're more violent, and that's a lot worse. And pot, it just relaxes you, and even if it's addictive, like, you're not really harming yourself. Well, you are, but not as much as, like, other things. Like, I think pot is really, like, overrated.
Well, the thing is that you say that a lot of people think that pot is a gateway drug, meaning that it's going to lead to stronger drugs because you always want more, you always want something stronger.
That's true.
And then they compare pot to cigarettes. And you had mentioned earlier something about cigarettes being addictive. But the thing is that pot, there's 50 to 70% more cancer-causing chemicals in one joint than there is in one cigarette. So it's going to take 5 tobacco cigarettes to equal smoking one joint. So, I mean, that's a huge risk that you take with just one joint as opposed to cigarettes.